welcome you all for online learning session of Sacred Heart High School. Subject Geography, Standard 10th. Chapter number 3, Physiography and Drainage. Part 2. In part 1, we have seen Physiography of India. In this part, that is part 2, we will be seeing Physiography of Brazil. Even a cursory look at the map will make you realize that a large part of Brazil is occupied by highlands, plateaus, and small mountains. There are no very high and long extending mountains in the country that is Brazil, except for the northern Amazon basin and in southwest along the upper parts of Paraguay basin. There are no wide plains in the country. Even the coastal plains are restricted in their expanse. Now, we have 5 physiographic divisions of Brazil. Those are as follows: the highlands, the great escarpment, the coastal region, the plains, and the last one, that is the island groups. Now let's begin with the first physiographic division of Brazil, that is the highlands. The southern Brazil is occupied by an extensive plateau. It is differently described as Brazilian highlands or Brazilian shield, or you can say Brazilian plateau as well. Brazilian and Guyana highlands together form the core of South American continent. The main part of the Guyana highlands is in Venezuela and it extends up to French Guiana. In Brazil, it covers the states of Roraima, Pará, and Amapá in the north. The lower part of these highlands is found in Brazil. But the highest peak of Brazil, that is Pico de Neblina, is 3014 meters high and lies on the border between Brazil and Venezuela. The regions to the east and south of the Brazilian highlands have an altitude of more than 1000 meters, but in other parts, if you see, the altitude is between 500 to 1000 meters. So the highlands gradually slope towards north and slopes are not very steep. The tributaries of Amazon flowing through this region make rapids and waterfalls. Towards the north, the slopes are steep but not abrupt. A number of rivers take off from the terminal portion of the highlands and flow northwards to meet Atlantic Ocean. Some major rivers like Uruguay, Paraguay, and Paraná originate from the southern slopes of the highlands and enter Argentina. Its slopes towards the east is steep and it appears in the form of an escarpment. Now the next physiographic division of Brazil is the Great Escarpment. Though it occupies a very small area, the nature of its slope and the effect it has on the climate makes it a separate physiographic region. The eastern side of the highlands is demarcated because of the escarpment. In this region, the altitude of the escarpment is 790 meters. In some regions, the height decreases gradually. The escarpment is very steep, particularly from Sao Paulo to Porto Alegre. The escarpment acts as a barrier to the southeast trade winds, giving rise to the rain shadow area in the northeastern part of the highlands. The region to the north of this area is called drought quadrilateral. Now, the next physiographic division of Brazil is the coastal region. Brazil has a coastline of about 7,400 kilometers. Brazil has a coastline of about 7,400 kilometers. One may divide that into two parts, namely northern and eastern coast. The northern coast extends from Amapá province in the north to Rio de Grande do Norte in the east. This can be called as the North Atlantic coast. From there, the eastern coast extends towards the south. The northern coast is characterized by mouths of many rivers, including the Amazon. Therefore, this region is low-lying region. On this coastline, the Maranhão and São Marcos base. Maranhão is a large coastal island located between the mouths of river Amazon and river Tocantins. The eastern coast receives large number of smaller rivers. The only major river which meets the Atlantic Ocean here is São Francisco. The Brazilian coast is characterized by a large number of beaches and sand dune complexes. The Brazilian coast is protected in some areas by coral reefs and atoll islands. What is atoll islands? I have already explained you in part 1. Do you know Praia do Cassino or Cassino Beach is the southernmost beach of the Brazilian coast on the South Atlantic Ocean. It is considered to be the longest sandy beach in the world. It is a continuous beach extending from more than 200 kilometers. Now, the next physiographic division of Brazil is the plains. The plains in Brazil are confined to two areas, namely the Amazon basin in the north and the Paraguay-Paraná source region in the southwest. Amazon plains, lying between the two highlands, form the largest plain land of Brazil. Amazon plains, lying in the northern part of Brazil, generally slopes eastward. The Amazon basin is quite wide in the west, that is about 1300 kilometers, and it narrows eastward. Its width is minimum where the Guiana highlands and Brazilian highland come closer, that is 240 kilometers. As the river approaches the Atlantic Ocean, the width of the plains increases. These are mostly forested areas and largely inaccessible due to frequent flooding and dense undergrowth. So the most of the Amazon plains are covered by tropical rainforest. The other plains in Brazil are located to the southwestern part of the highlands. They form the source region of Paraguay and Paraná rivers. The source region of Paraguay slopes towards the south, while the source region of Paraná slopes towards the southwest. Now students, what is wetland? A wetland is a place in which the land is covered by water, salt, fresh or somewhere in between, either seasonally or permanently. It functions as its own distinct ecosystem. You can recognize wetlands from other landforms or bodies of water primarily by the vegetation that has adapted to wet soil. Pantanal is one of the largest wetlands in the world. It lies towards the southwest part of the highland areas. It is a region of swamps and marshes in northwestern Mato Grosso do Sul in Brazil, and it extends into Argentina too. Now, the last physiographic division of Brazil, that is the island groups. Besides the mainland, some islands are also included in Brazil. They can be classified into coastal islands and marine islands. Most of the coastal islands have formed due to deposition. Marine islands were a part of the mainland. They are more than 300 kilometers away from the mainland in the Atlantic Ocean. These islands are mostly rocky and they are the top of the submerged mountains. The islands near the coast of the South Atlantic Ocean are coral islands and they are called atolls. So, this was all about the physiographic divisions of Brazil. In the next video, that is in part 3, we will be studying about the drainage of Brazil. Thank you students for watching this video.